Jody Suarez was one of 22,000 in that crowd, and she described what she saw this way.
Everything was fine, and then we heard two pop noises and thought it was a sound system, and then he kept continuing like nothing was wrong, and then we heard it continue and he still was going, and then he fell.
He dropped and ran. He just ran off the stage, and then people started dropping to the floor, and then we were running out.
And then we ran out and we saw some victims that were shot, and then we just kept running until we got to the cops.
That was Jody Suarez on camera. She's now on telephone. Jody, good morning. How are you doing?
We're hanging in there.
I can only imagine.
It was a crazy night.
Where were
sure.
you?
We were. We had the VIP tickets. We were all in the VIP center, and I was with my parents, my cousins, and my best friend. And my sister was actually in the crowd. And my sister said when she was in the crowd, a girl next to her got shot in the head, and that's when they ran out of there. And we all. When we first, it was 6 pops, and it was just bam, 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 and we all thought it was part of the show, maybe because it sounded like firecrackers almost. And then all of a sudden, it was another round, and we were like, okay, we need to get out of here. So we ran as fast as we could, and we made it to the Tropicana, and then just people in a panic start yelling, there's a shooter in the Tropicana. So then we ran to Hooters, and they said there was a shooter in Hooters. It was just absolute, chaos. And then we finally made it into a little diner where an off-duty police man was in there, and he said, okay, we're putting this on lockdown, and we stacked all the tables and chairs up and covered the windows, and just basically were sitting ducks waiting till we could leave. And my sister, she's an emergency nurse, she stayed behind to help those who were injured.
Let's take a look at exactly where all this happened. And here is the Bellagio Hotel. Many of us may be familiar with the Bellagio because of the big fountain show that they hold every day, the mock-up of the Eiffel Tower right across the street. Only a short walk down the strip is the Luxor Hotel, that big pyramid that we see there, and the Mandalay Bay. And this is where the reign of terror began so early this morning. And just take a look, only 400 feet where that shooter opened fire, down to the concert venue. And here's where the thousands and thousands of people were gathered just right across the street. And he opened fire across this venue, and there was only one egress point.
Yeah, it does. It sounds like automatic gunfire. Now it sounds like it's coming from farther away. going on? I'm not sure why people aren't running, but there's a security guard. What is he doing? You know, for there being gunfire, sure doesn't seem like people are running. Oh, shit. Seriously, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of cops out here. Be careful.
Where are the cops at? I'm right here by the porch of Mandalay Bay, and everything just seems to be normal here.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, and everything seems normal when it's not. A million cameras around Vegas.
Yeah, we're just all sitting. We're just.
I got details on it. I'm at the airport. I just talked to the Metro Police over here at the airport. They said do not go to Mandalay Bay. There's multiple shots fired and they need lots of medical there. Do not go to Mandalay Bay. Stay away from there.
All right, I'm leaving. This is ridiculous. I don't know why people aren't leaving. This is insane. It seems like it's coming from up there. Oh shit, Alright, I'm out of here.
So just stay away from there.
Alright.
Bad man, just going through it right now.
Alright, all the all the taxi drivers are gone now. Jeez. Yeah, there's
the Tropicana. Could you guys clear that up and let us know where it's happening at?
Alright, well I was in the Mandalay Bay and oh my god, now there's cops everywhere. It seems like it's coming from like the 10th floor of Mandalay Bay. I don't know. God, this is insane.
The radio guys, one by one. Jesus, man, step over to it. 10th floor of Mandalay Bay, and if that's the case, I wouldn't go anywhere near Trop on the Boulevard or anywhere like that. Because you got a clear line of sight, so I wouldn't go anywhere near there.
So 8 of the Las Vegas shooting witnesses are dead 1 month after the attack, okay? So it says 1 month has passed since the Las Vegas shooting, and we still do not have answers about what happened in the Mandalay Bay that night, or why 8 eyewitnesses, survivors, plus 1 high-profile attorney have wound up dead. Wow. Wow. So it's 9 people, basically, because it says 8 eyewitnesses, survivors, plus 1 high-profile attorney. Okay, so you know something is smelling in the water here. All right, something isn't right. So it reads, the official narrative stinks so badly that mainstream media outlets have been forced by their viewers to begin questioning the event. An alliance of mainstream media outlets are now suing authorities in Nevada for covering up the truth about what happened during the Las Vegas shooting, demanding officials turn over law enforcement records relating to the massacre that left 58 people dead. But mainstream media is playing catch-up. Alternative media and independent investigative journalists have been responsible for pursuing the truth about what happened in Vegas on October 1st and shining a light on the major cover-up taking place before our very eyes. A staggering 8 survivors, eyewitnesses, and a legal attorney representing key players in the Las Vegas shooting have died in suspicious circumstances. Others are missing. What are the odds in 8 people dying, the majority of them very young, in such a short space of time? The odds would be astronomical. The fact is, all of those 8 people, every single one of them, had one thing in common, other than being there during the shooting or having inside information. They all had information on the attack that contradicts the official narrative. Let's take a look at each of these victims one by one and examine their conflicting versions of what happened in Las Vegas on October the 1st. Dennis and Lorraine Carver. The most recent eyewitnesses to die were Dennis and Lorraine Carver, a married couple from California. Their car suddenly veered off the road, their home, and crashed into a gate, exploding into a fireball on impact, killing both of them instantly. A spokesman for the local fire authority said it took firefighters over 1 hour to extinguish the blaze. After escaping from the Las Vegas shooting intact, they later explained how they were lucky to be alive. Mrs. Carver described how her husband protected her from the shooters by shielding them inside a beer refrigerator until it was safe to run away. After managing to escape, Lorraine posted updates on Facebook to let her friends and family know they were okay, saying, "I think the shooters have gone." Other than saying there were shooters during the attack, the Carvers weren't perhaps as vocal as some other witnesses, and you could perhaps write off their death as a bizarre coincidence if it wasn't for the loss of Mr. Carver's phone. Suspicion surrounding the real nature of their death was raised when, 1 week after the fatal crash, the couple's eldest daughter, Brooke Carver, received an item carrying memories of her 52-year-old father through the post. During the confusion of the shooting, he had lost his phone, and that was full of photos and videos from the night of the attack. His phone had somehow ended up in the FBI's possession, but a Las Vegas agent promised to ship the phone back to him. When we turned it on, all his photos and messages were still there, Brooke said. The question is, why did the FBI take 3 weeks to return the phone? As has been widely reported, the phones and laptops of eyewitnesses were confiscated and wiped by the FBI. So why was Mr. Carver's phone returned seemingly intact? Brooke Carver says all his photos and messages were still there, but how would she know if anything had been deleted? She wouldn't have seen what was on her father's phone before the FBI had it. Could the Carvers have captured something they shouldn't have? Perhaps unknowingly. Danny Contreras. In the same week the Carvers died, Danny Contreras, an eyewitness Las Vegas shooting survivor who publicly claimed there were multiple shooters involved in the attack, was been found dead in an empty house in Las Vegas with multiple gunshot wounds. His body was found in a vacant home in the northeastern valley after a neighbor heard a man groaning inside the building and called 911. Police say Contreras was dead when they arrived at the 5800 block of East Carey Avenue near North Nellis Boulevard. The woman who called emergency services to the scene says she didn't hear any gunshots, but the coroner confirmed that Danny Contreras, 35, died of multiple gunshot wounds and ruled his death a homicide. Mr. Contreras tweeted the day after the attack saying he was lucky to be alive after he was chased by 2 gunmen. His social media post from his Twitter account, which has since been suspended by Twitter, that was shared several times, said, "Feeling lucky to be alive, can't believe I got out of concert alive, 2 men chasing me with guns, not everyone so lucky. Chad Nisha Murrah, a Mandalay Bay valet, parked the suspected Las Vegas gunman's car and gave an interview saying Stephen Paddock was a normal guy who didn't have many bags. Nisha Murrah gave a statement to ABC affiliate KITV4 News, but the article was quietly pulled from the network's website after it began attracting attention. After his account was published, Nisha Murrah disappeared and all of his social media accounts were deleted. His friends and co-workers saying he is totally unreachable. Chad Nisha Murrah's account seems to prove that Paddock didn't carry bags of heavy machine guns and only deadly weapons up to his room. One of the biggest holes in the official story is how Paddock could have smuggled all those weapons up to his room, avoiding detection. Nisha Murrah's report of normal guy Paddock arriving at the hotel without much luggage totally debunks that theory, as unverified rumors circulate about his death that Chad Nisha Murrah's honesty cost him his life. Kimberly Suchomel went public with claims of witnessing multiple gunmen and was determined to prove the mainstream narrative was wrong. She even announced plans to set up a survivors group to shine a light on the truth about what happened in Las Vegas and expose the lies. According to Kimberly, the Las Vegas shooting was carried out by multiple gunmen who were chasing people down in the crowd and shooting them. Her post on Facebook quickly went viral, as it confirmed what many had already suspected: the mainstream media official narrative that Stephen Paddock was a lone wolf gunman was false.
I just want to pause right there and mention something key to kind of build off of this story with Kimberly. Bless her soul and rest in peace. So Kimberly was saying that people were shot on the ground by shooters on the ground. When it sounds like at close range. And I just want everyone to remember in the autopsies, if you studied the autopsies, and I'm not real good with the autopsies, so I followed Paladin WH, who's a professional private investigator. I followed his lead on the study of the autopsies. And according to the autopsies, a number of the victims, their wounds included what's called punctate abrasions and stiffling or tattooing. That type of wound is a result of being shot at close range. I believe it's 30 to the very furthest away would be 30 to 60 inches to cause that type of punctate abrasion, stiffling, and what they call tattooing.
Less than 1 week after she gave this account, Kimberly was found dead at her house in Apple Valley, California. Orville Allman, the lawyer representing the Route 91 Music Festival, and Jason Aldean, the singer on stage when the Las Vegas shooting began, was found dead at home after suffering a seizure during sleep, the same cause of death as Kimberly Suchomel. Allman, a prominent Nashville attorney, his practice included renegotiating existing agreements and new technology issues, and was renowned for negotiating with law enforcement. However, his recent social media posts suggested the experienced attorney was feeling the strain of his latest high-profile case, describing meetings with MGM, Las Vegas police, and the FBI as incredibly strange and complex. To one of his friends on recently made private Facebook threads, the attorney was privy to inside information that the FBI, by announcing they are no longer holding press conferences and the investigation is closed, have chosen.
I heard about this, his statements and stuff. They were public statements where he referred to the investigation and the FBI's behavior and stuff like that, and the whole thing to be bizarre and stuff like that. But I did not know that this guy was one of the people who mysteriously died.
to withhold from the public. John Billman, who was wanted by federal agents following the discovery of a communications device in the hotel room of the officially identified shooter, Stephen Paddock, killed both himself and his daughter in an apparent murder-suicide. Investigators searched Billman's Fairport home the day before he shot his severely disabled daughter and himself, according to sources close to the investigation. Agents executed a search warrant and raided Billman's Williamsburg Drive home the day before he took his daughter, Nicole, into the backyard and shot her and then himself in the head with a 12-gauge shotgun. Whether this series of disturbing deaths and disappearances are purely coincidental or whether there is something deeply sinister afoot has yet to be determined. But the response by law enforcement and mainstream media, in particular, their refusal to address the questions that the informed public want answered, is leading many to arrive at the same conclusion. When you add in hero security guard Jesus Campos' mysterious comings and goings and inconsistencies surrounding suspected shooter Stephen Paddock's life and death, the coincidences seem less and less likely to be innocent.
What it wasn't out in the public space, and I'm comfortable talking about it, is we had an accidental discharge in the suspect's room. So we did an explosive breach on the first door, made entry, located the suspect who had committed suicide there, but we encountered a locked door adjacent to the main living area or living room area. You have a bedroom off on one side and the bedroom off on the other side. Well, the bedroom off on the one side where the window was broken facing the fuel tanks, the door had been secured. So we did another explosive breach. And during that explosive breach, one of the officers had an accidental discharge. So nobody was injured. Nothing else occurred from that. We're obviously going to do an internal investigation associated with that. So that was the only other shots that I'm aware of.
Just 3 days after the Las Vegas shooting, I uploaded this video to YouTube. It's titled Las Vegas Shooter at Mandalay Bay Hotel, part of FBI undercover sting operation that went bad. And in that video, I go into great detail of everything that happened involving this Las Vegas shooting. That video, as you can see, has over 617,000 views now. I'm not going to go into the details of that, but it's all very accurate. I explain all of it in the video. At one point, YouTube took it down and gave me a violation in regards to bullying, which wasn't true. So I appealed it, and I won the appeal, and they put the video back up. And the reason they did this is simply because they didn't want this information to be exposed to the public, and they probably took heat from the United States government and the FBI. But I have all this information. I revealed it to you. That video is up now. You can go see it if you want to. Like I said, I'm not going to go into great detail about that. You should already know about that. But what I want to talk about tonight is it now looks like confirmed information has come out. 30 FBI agents checked into Mandalay Hotel 1 to 2 days before the Las Vegas shooting. And this, of course, goes along right with what I said because, I talk about it. Paddock working for the FBI, and it was a gun, FBI undercover gun sting operation that went bad. That's why he had all these guns, like 23 guns with him, because they were trying to catch people involved in terrorism and trace down where they're located and what they're trying to do and find information. But it all went bad when they got word of what was going on. They took Paddock hostage, and so the FBI was in other rooms. They couldn't just break in and go after me. Would have gotten killed. And it went bad, and a terrorist act was committed, and at that point the FBI, the U.S. government, could not expose what happened because it would be a huge embarrassment, just a whole lot of problems. So, but if you want to see that video, of course, I go into more detail about that there. Now, I also want to mention that a few days after I exposed this, WikiLeaks and also Anonymous came out and verified what I said. But this is what's interesting tonight. this evidence is surfacing in regards to verification that FBI agents were in that hotel about 2 days prior to when the shooting took place, and there's quite a number of them. This report here says, now we know why the FBI has implemented the most transparent cover-up in the history of American mass shooting. There are specific reasons why the FBI has led the cover-up of the Las Vegas mass shooting. Not only was the Bureau well aware of Stephen Paddock's activity as an arms dealer well before the massacre, they knew this hotel room had been transformed into a virtual armory. That doesn't mean that Paddock had anything to do with the mass murder. He didn't. Paddock was set up as a patsy, knew absolutely nothing about the false flag site carried out in the harvest on October 1st, 2017. What follows is perhaps the most radioactive breakthrough thus far regarding the Mandalay Bay massacre. Unfortunately, the breakthrough in this case was not disclosed by the FBI. That's because it's about the FBI's direct involvement in the biggest mass shooting in the U.S. history. Now, that's just support that they're giving in regards to this as this information is leaked. Of course, I've given you the exact details of it. Someone got pissed about the latest remote control car murder of 2 Vegas witnesses, compliments of the FBI and docs the FBI. As a result of the docs, someone at the Intel Hub was able to confirm that 30 of these agents checked into the Mandalay Bay Hotel. Now, this is about this 2 days before it happens. Here you can see where people are talking about it, and they're saying bump, bump, you know, because this is a big deal here. This is a big one right here. This is exposing detail and information of exactly what I told you. This supports the evidence that I informed you of. Picture here, screenshot in regards to what I've told you. This came out after I'd already reported it to you, but this is on one of the sites also. All right, so yeah, big deal here, big information exposed. FBI agents checked into Mandalay Bay Hotel 2 days before the Las Vegas shooting, giving it to you, bringing it to you, letting the truth be known.
The Las Vegas shooting at Mandalay Bay was the largest mass shooting in modern-day American history. We've got 30 huge questions that the media won't ask, so law enforcement isn't answering. You want to hear this because you won't hear it on the news. Welcome to Zero Doubt Zone. I'm Dane Sorensen. Now that Sheriff Lombardo of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department announced they would no longer schedule ongoing press conferences for an investigation where we still don't understand the motive, we have a list of 30 huge questions that neither the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department or the FBI have been willing to answer. Let's jump right into it. Question number 1. During the shooting, why did Mandalay Bay guest Brian Hodge post to Facebook saying he was staying in room 32134 if the room was supposedly booked by the shooter? Upon returning from dinner that night, Brian Hodge confirmed via Facebook that he saw a security guard shot on the 32nd floor before fleeing the hotel, and long before any of the rest of us knew a security guard had been shot. Or is Brian Hodge lying? Number 2, given windows were broken out in rooms 32134 and 32135, why did police have to breach a connecting door between them?
020, we have another explosive breach is going on into the adjoining room. That's where we're at with the suite. The breach is going off here in about 5 seconds.
Copy. Venus A5, another explosive breach going off bed 135, Mandalay Bay, room floor 32.
Wasn't it open so the shooter could travel back and forth between the rooms? Does this imply that the shooter bothered to close the door between the rooms before shooting himself? Perhaps the shooter never used the connecting door, instead moved between rooms by using the hallway. Or was there more than one shooter? And if room 32134 didn't belong to Paddock, how did he gain entry to it? That leads us to question number 3. Considering we're told Paddock made millions gambling and may have been a familiar high roller at the hotel, did Paddock coax a hotel employee into giving him access to room 32134? Something like, hey, excuse me, I locked my card key in my room, can you help me out? Well, perhaps he was helped by security guard Jesus Campos, which reminds me, while Jesus and his family were immediately placed under a gag order following the event, journalists are kept at bay from his house by an armed security guard working for a virtual company with no business license. Now, Campos canceled prior to giving 5 interviews to the media and instead gave one and only one in a highly questionable and scripted interview with Ellen DeGeneres, who, by the way, has her own slot machine at the MGM. Why don't they want him to talk? Well, perhaps his testimony would open MGM to lawsuits if he were to have made a fatal mistake, like inadvertently letting the shooter into another guest's room. Or perhaps they're hiding him away from an entirely different reason, which leads us to question number 4. Why didn't Ellen ask Jesus Campos about why a leaked photo from MGM's employee database shows that he's sharing his social security number with another individual? Of course, she's not going to ask, but this raises a very important question. Is MGM hiring illegal aliens? Number 5, back to the 2 rooms. Given the connecting door between the rooms with broken windows was closed and maybe even locked, which led the police to breach it, does recorded audio of the event demonstrate the shooter had enough time to move between these windows? Now consider the audio of the shooting from 2 different locations here.
Now it sounds like it's coming from farther away.
Unless this video is proof of 2 shooters, as some have theorized, the shooter had to back away from the window, exit from suite 32135 into the hallway, enter 32134, approach the window at the rear of the room, reload, and take aim in just 15 seconds. Number 6, we can see from his view in suite 32135 that he had clear visibility of both the venue and the fuel tanks, which were the only targets named by law enforcement. Given that, why did the shooter need to move into connecting room 32134 to break out the window? This is even more peculiar if he didn't have easy access to this room. Number 7, why is the shooter seen wearing gloves when most shooting enthusiasts online seem to prefer not wearing gloves when firing trigger-sensitive bump stocks? Generally, people wear gloves when temperatures are extremely hot or cold, or when they're loading magazines. Seeing as the shooter has been in the room for the last week, he couldn't have been concerned about leaving fingerprints. Was it not Paddock lying dead on the ground, but someone else who didn't want to leave their fingerprints behind? Or perhaps Paddock was not the shooter, but an accomplice who didn't want his fingerprints on the guns. Or perhaps he was just worried about burning his hands despite using tripods and barrel grips. Number 8, based on available pictures of Paddock, he appeared to have been left-handed. It's possible that at that time he was shot, Paddock was carrying and landed on the assault rifle seen under him and near his left hand. Now, if that's true, then why did Paddock pick up a handgun and shoot himself with his right hand? Number 9, furthermore, why is the large gun positioned over his leg? Number 10, if Paddock wanted to die, why did he first shoot himself in the chest and then in the mouth? If you are skeptical of that, you could see what appears to be a gunshot wound in his chest. You can also hear 2 final shots just after he's finished shooting into the crowd.
We saw police right behind us with rifles, and they asked us to take cover. And so we ran.
There's glass falling from Mandalay Bay.
And so we ran over. This is basically probably not the safest place to be.
Perhaps there was at least one other person in the room when Paddock was caught off guard and unexpectedly shot in the chest. This leads to question number 11. Why is there a trail of blood leading to the bloody handgun? Perhaps after the bullet pierced his lung and he bleeds from his mouth, Paddock was then shot through his mouth and out the back of his head. The shooter then walks the gun away and drops it onto the floor a couple of feet away. Number 12. What is the blue tubing seen in the leaked crime scene photo? Were we told by the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department that there was evidence suggesting the shooter intended to escape? Now, does the blue tubing lead to a vacuum system? Did the shooter intend to vacuum up the shell casings before escaping? What else could it be? Number 13, police said Paddock had personal protection equipment with him. Now, if Paddock planned to escape, as we were told, how come he's not seen wearing protection or body armor? Number 14, what did the shooter use the green tape for? There was no evidence of its use in the photos anywhere. Number 15, why were these crime scene photos leaked in the first place? Was the leaker trying to show us something that conflicts with the official narrative? Number 16, why are there no muzzle flashes coming from the room in any publicly available videos? Go ahead and look. You won't find any. "17. Why are these possible muzzle flashes coming from the neighboring Delano's elevator shaft that are synchronized with the shooting?" The police scanner dispatch transcript references a shooting on the escalator between New York, and Excalibur an hour after the Mandalay Bay shooting. Multiple eyewitnesses corroborate hearing a shooter in this vicinity, but there were no reported casualties. Is the source of this shooting coming from this helicopter seen flying over this very same location? Number 19, why did the FBI change the timeline regarding when the security guard was shot from after to before the shooting? Number 20, with so many guns and so much freaking ammo, why did Paddock fire only 10 minutes when police didn't breach his room more than an hour later? 21, what did the shooter plan to do with the explosives discovered in his car? 22, why is a team of heavily armed men seen entering the Tropicana with weapons aimed at casino guests? In an unconfirmed article, True News suggests an FBI source claims the men were led by another FBI agent to retrieve the high-definition security footage from the southern wall of the Tropicana that overlooked the concert venue while the shooting was still occurring.
This is very interesting because one of the biggest things that they covered up and they hid is the building surveillance footage of the Mandalay Bay. They even went as far as to say that there are no cameras on the upper floors, only in the lobby areas and casino areas on the casino level. We know this is false because we see, and I pointed it out in a previous video, body cam footage of them in the upper floors. We see the round circular tinted building surveillance cameras on the ceiling. So they hid and they've covered up that footage. This right here, we see them moving in and securing this building surveillance footage
and I believe he said the Tropicana, which is huge because they would have done the same thing at the Mandalay Bay, of course, and that footage has never been released, and they act like it doesn't exist, or they act like, because normally every few days, I know I've worked security, the security cameras are overwritten or erased, and then they start them fresh. But in a major crime like this, they're not going to allow that to happen. Somebody, the SPFPA, Homeland Security, the Mandalay Bay Security, FBI, LVMPD, somebody's going to secure that footage as evidence. And you can see them here. They're going into the Tropicana, according to this video, to get that building surveillance footage. So we have to assume that they did the same thing at the Mandalay Bay, and the point I'm making is, where's that footage? We need that footage. So what I think that they should do, it was smart for them to do a lawsuit against the LVMPD for body cam evidence and stuff like that. The mistake was when the judge allowed the LVMPD to release that evidence little by little over an extended period of time. It allows them to edit and tamper with that evidence, lower the resolution, as in the case of the 32-135 body cam footage. It looks very low resolution compared to other body cam footage, like it went through some sort of a degrading process. And so the judge should have never allowed them to release it little by little over an extended period of time. That was a mistake. What they need to do is that we need another lawsuit against the Mandalay Bay MGM for everything that might even be even remotely related to this incident. So building surveillance footage, manager logs, front desk logs, security logs, maintenance logs. We need all of that.
If so, why are they carrying a stretcher? The police dispatch scanner transcript shows that medics reportedly being shot at within the Tropicana. And was a stretcher for a wounded medic? More importantly, who was shooting at him?
Control 374, I got medics reporting that they're getting shot at in Tropicana.
23. According to the police dispatch scanner transcript, we know that there were shootings reported to police at no fewer than 10 hotels. In the description below, we've linked to our other video that goes into this in great detail. But the media refuses to talk about this. By end of the first week, the largest mass shooting in modern American history was no longer being discussed by the mainstream media at all. Why not? Number 24. Paddock had physical ailments, according to his brother, stemming from a previous accident that occurred inside a casino when he slipped and fell. And with no criminal history, no digital footprint, no history of mental illness, no physical anomalies found in his brain, what motive does an older man without any known political or religious affiliations possibly have? 25. Where is security footage showing Paddock anywhere in the casino during the week prior to the shooting? 26. What percentage of casino guests are able to make a prolonged living from gambling? If the odds are quite low, which we imagine they are, why else did he spend so much time gambling? Was he laundering money? If so, what illegal activity was he engaged in? Arms deals? Was he doing just that for the government in an undercover operation that went bad? Number 27. Law enforcement hasn't released any information regarding ballistics. Of the 23 guns found in the hotel room, how many guns were actually used? Number 28. Despite being a central component in one of the largest investigations in America, Paddock's house was burglarized in the middle of the night just days after the shooting. How does that even happen? What were they looking for, and are there any leads? 29. Why did Paddock fly to Phoenix a couple weeks prior to the shooting only to drive back to Las Vegas? Number 30. Finally, why aren't the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department and the FBI holding any more press conferences anyway?
there's shots fired in 32-135.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's our list of 30 huge remaining questions surrounding the tragic Las Vegas shooting incident at Mandalay Bay. Now, these were our top questions, and we know there are dozens more. So let us know in the comments what questions you have, and we'll add them to our list as we continue our own investigation. And please share this video.